Should we return to old Hollywood? No, we should not. Welcome to the channel. I post twice a day, Monday through Friday, and I would love for you to subscribe. But I would not love for the return of old Hollywood. Some of you might be asking, what is old Hollywood? I'm gonna narrow it down. Basically, old Hollywood started around the silent film era. It gave way to American cinema as we know it today. They perfected the 3-act narrative structure, they created genres, and they also manufactured stars like John Wayne and Marilyn Monroe. You might look at some of these movies from back then and say, oh, this is the essential Hollywood style. They're all efficient, seamless. They're like the standard. Well, that's because of this thing called Fordism. It was the assembly line mass production idea. So you had a studio and they basically owned the means of production, distribution, and exhibition. So like back then, they controlled every aspect of filmmaking. They banked on those stars that I was talking about to bring in people as well. That's why you look back at Westerns with John Wayne in them, and they're not just Westerns, they're John Wayne Westerns. So you might be wondering, what kind of movies came out of this system? Well, you had Gone with the Wind, The Wizard of Oz, King Kong, Frankenstein, Dracula, the Universal monster movies. You also had Casablanca, Citizen Kane, and Bambi. So definitely some heavy hitters. And it's at this point of the video I'd like you to pause and tell me if any of these movies stand out for you personally. Do you look back fondly at some of these movies made by classic Hollywood? Which ones? Because your love and affection for them is going to come back to bite you in the butt. So what changed? Well, actually, a series of laws changed. It all started with this thing called the Havilland law, which basically, I'm not going to get into the weeds because I don't even know the weeds, but it weakened the terms under which studios exclusively employed stars. So I think basically what happened was there was this movie star who was like, hey, I actually don't like being a slave to one studio. I would like to go and not just be rented out to other studios, because that's what happened. They rented them to others. You couldn't just work for another studio point blank. She wanted to though. She said, I want to work for another studio. I'm with, let's just throw one out there, Paramount. I don't want to be with Paramount for this movie. I want to be with MGM. I'm going to sue Paramount because they won't let me. And she won. Another notable court thing was like the United States versus Paramount Pictures in 1948. That ended studios' vertical integration system, which basically what it means is studios relinquished exhibition. So they could no longer own movie theaters. And you're sitting there wondering like, wait, what? Studios could own movie theaters? Yeah, I remember what I said earlier, Fordism, they owned everything. That's why these movies were so good. They controlled every aspect from like thought to actually people sitting down watching the movie. But now they don't. And you're thinking, well, what kind of changes could that have caused? Well, the movies that we're watching nowadays are a direct reflection from those court choices. Studios relinquished a lot of rights to the movie making process, and now we can have indie films. So what are you thinking so far, huh? Do you think this is going in a good direction or a bad direction? Well, it probably depends on, hang on, someone just like cranked up their rocket ship in my parking lot. Hang on. All right, whatever. We're going to roll with it. It probably depends on which side of the fence you sit on, because now we're going to get into comparing the old versus the new. And basically what it comes down to, besides just worker rights, because it's not right for an actor or an actress to only be able to work for one studio for the remainder of their life. Like, that is insane. And also they didn't have a whole lot of power. They were at the mercy of their like lifelong contracts under these studios. But slowly they began to realize like, hey, wait a minute, these people are showing up to watch us, not MGM, not Paramount. And because of that, they sort of wormed out of these horrible deals. And it also gave way to, like I said, indie films and more personal films being made, as opposed to just movies from this big monstrous machine. And what did these movies do a lot of the times? Well, in the 60s, they directly criticized the films of the past that were made by the studio system. The one criticism that really hits me is the Western, because all those John Wayne movies were about manifest destiny and stuff like that, which I was like, heck yeah, I'm a red-blooded American, let's go. But the 60s movies took the Western, they were like, oh, actually, we slaughtered all these Indians and set fire to baby pigs and what, just terrible things. So the question is, are these changes better? And I would say overall, yeah, for sure they're better. It's better for art. Film is an art form. It's a medium for expression. And if only studios maybe would still be pumping out great, like heavy hitter movies that we would all enjoy. Like maybe think like Marvel movies today, right? But like about a guy instead of superheroes. Yeah, we would have that, but we wouldn't have the diversity in expression of art that we do now. There would never be a Terrifier or maybe even like a Good Will Hunting. So what do you think about that? That's pretty much all I had to say. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, tell me what you enjoyed about it. Also subscribe and don't forget to leave a comment because I'm gonna pick a bunch of you guys and make a reaction video out of your comments and I will read literally anything. All right, bye.